Hey friends, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. First things first, if you're new, welcome. I hope you're well. Please hit the subscribe button down below. That would be absolutely amazing. And tell all your friends how boring I waffle on for ages about records because I love them. And hopefully you love them too. And if you do, you're awesome. If you don't, you're awesome. But if you do, you're awesome too. People coming back for more. Thank you again. You know that means a lot to me too. I didn't think I'd get to this. I think I'd still be doing it a year later. It's nice to know that there are some people out there that you know, A, share my passion, and B, like to hear what I have to say on the subject. Because I know I waffle an awful lot. My wife tells me, my kids tell me, everybody tells me. So anyway, let's just crack on. Before we do, please hit the subscribe button if you're new. Please hit the like button if you're new or old. And please tickle the notification bell and leave me comments. People, rarely leave me comments. Just say hello. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what your favourite record is. Tell me, how many records you have in your collection. Tell me something about you. Anything. Just leave me a comment. And that would be absolutely swell. I am a little bit tardy in getting back to them sometimes because I am quite busy a lot of the time. But I do reply to all the comments. So yeah, thank you. I'm going to shut up waffling now and crack on. So this is just a quick video, hopefully a quick video. Just want to go over some of the items that I've received in the post. And my memory is poor and I'm too lazy to go back. I don't have the time to go back to all videos. So first one I'm just going to quickly hint at is this one. I'm pretty certain I've done it already. This is Beth Hart tribute to Led Zeppelin. This was released this year. It was available for pre-order last year, so I ordered my dad the CD. He ordered me this. First of all, he ordered it. I'm sure it was in gold vinyl. He ordered it, and then he realised he'd had it delivered to his own address. So then he cancelled that order and he reordered it, and then he remembered that, and he realised, that he'd ordered the black vinyl one, not the gold vinyl one. So then he cancelled that one and went to order it again. But then he ordered this one, which is orange vinyl, which is great. I'm not, being ungrateful here because it is really kind of him. But then he got it delivered to his own address, and then he had to post it to my address. Anyway, thanks, Dad. It is really good. Beth Hart is an amazing vocalist. She does a lot of work with Joe Bonamassa, I believe. And this one is, her little take on some classics, some Led Zeppelin classics. It's a lovely, both discs, it's 2 discs, both discs are great orange vinyl. Sound is excellent, I can't fault that. We've got A Whole Lot of Love in Kashmir on one side, Dancing Days When the Levee Breaks, and then Black Dog on the second side of the first disc. Second disc, we've got obviously Stairway to Heaven, what Led Zeppelin tribute would be complete without that, and The Crunge. And then on the final side, we've got No Quarter, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, Good Times, Bad Times, and The Rain Song. These are quite interesting takes because, there's a little bit of like an orchestral arrangement in there. We've got guitar played by Rob Cavallo, I presume, because he's mentioned quite a lot here and there in here. And he's produced it as well. And he's done a cracking job. If you get a chance, this will be on Amazon Music, I would expect, or Apple Music, or Spotify, or whatever. But give it a go, give it a listen. It was only, I think, about 30 ducats for this. And it's a double album, which is a decent price for something like this. And it is beautifully packaged. I'm looking down at it out of camera view, but it is beautifully packaged. So yeah, if you get a chance, give it a go. And if I've already done this already, I do apologise. There we go. And next. So yeah, I had some mail. Been out walking the last few days, trying to get fit, and I'm trying to walk to Mordor. So I think I'm about 250 miles into a 1,779 mile trip. By my estimation, I think I've passed Weathertop and I'm either approaching Rivendell or I'm about to be at Rivendell based on those figures, and that's just from memory looking at the map. But you don't want to hear about that. You want to hear about what I got in the post. So I'm saying that I've been out walking this week because luckily my neighbours took the packages in. So the first one is one that I was very excited about, and I am not disappointed in the slightest. Impera by Ghost. This album I'm on a few sort of Ghost fan sites and forums, and it's had a lot of mixed reviews. Some people really love it. Some people say, oh my god, it's like 80s hair metal. And obviously I'm a big fan of all the 80s kind of rock and metal scene, and I personally think Tobias Forge is an underrated genius. I do. He, like the guys in Steel Panther, he knows his music, and he gets references, and he's very adept at just putting tiny little callbacks, dropping little member berries in there, to evoke memories of other times, other bands, without actually just copying that shit straight out. So take, for example, the most recent single, Call Me Little Sunshine, and that bass sound is very reminiscent of Enter Sandman, which would fit because they just did the cover of Enter Sandman for the Metallica charity project for the Black Album reissue. And this album, I think, is phenomenal. Every album he does has a different feel, a different theme to it, and they're supposed to be moving through different eras. And this is a killer. It's maybe not as accessible immediately as the other albums were, but I don't think it's any less genius. I don't. Imperium, usually his albums start off with some kind of little instrumental thing, into Kaiserian, which is a brilliant track, really upbeat. I mean, this album's got I've said before, they're kind of like ABBA meets Venom meets Queen, and this is like more so. This album is so commercial, but yet there's still all these undercurrent themes of death and doom and oppression, and there's a lot of social observation in there that a lot of people seem to miss. And the people that have been slagging this album off as well, it's just like, if I wanted to listen to Whitesnake, I'd buy a Whitesnake album or etc. They're really missing the whole point of the band, and they're only missing the whole point of being in a band. If a band's going to do the same album over and over again, I'm not going to want to buy that album over and over again. I want someone like Queen did that does something different every time, but yet maintains that essence, like Kiss did, that maintains that essence of that band. But when you see clear growth, even AC/DC manage it with their formula. They do. Their albums are different, even though they're the same, and this is no different. This album is essentially different but the same. It's what you would expect from Ghost. So yeah, Kaiserian, Spillways, Call Me Little Sunshine, and Hunter's Moon. Hunter's Moon is probably the odd one out on the whole album, because it wasn't written for the album, it was written for the Halloween Kills soundtrack, and it kind of doesn't fit the oeuvre of the rest of the album, in my opinion. Watcher in the Sky, Dominion 20s is a brutal track. It kind of harks back to Mummy Dust, and about the worship of money, and it really is. It is brutal. There's some brilliant drums and guitar in there. Darkness at the Heart of My Love is quite a moving track. Griftwood, Bite of Passage, and the final one, Respite on the Spitalfields, and it kind of ends on a low note, which is interesting. It's not like a really sort of up there song, so it does kind of hark back to the last few albums have kind of ended quite somber. This album is brilliant, and the artwork is phenomenal. And obviously that's mirroring the famous Aleister Crowley pose, yet I see an element of the Mummy there, which leads me to suggest that in the whole sort of Ghost universe, that perhaps he's going to bring back one of the previous incarnations of Papa. Anyway, this was a great package. I pre-ordered it. I got this beautiful slip mat, which has there we go, has the album artwork on it, decent quality. It's got this beautiful booklet, which, like Meliora, and this kind of thing was disappointingly missing from Prequel, but you get these great illustrations sort of all the way through, and you get the lyrics as well. You know, I mean, Tobias Forge, he knows what people want. He doesn't skimp. He doesn't, you know. And I admire him for that. I think he is a genius. I think he knows, you know, he knows music and he knows how to sell himself. I think he's got it going on. I really do. So yeah, and this album, this copy, there are, like, you know, again, he's not daft because he knows that people will shell out for different versions. This is a kind of weird, funky, mottled gold vinyl pressing, and it sounds all right. It's up and down for me. This is the one kind of drawback is the sound is a bit hit and miss on some tracks. And I don't think it's anything to do with the pressing. It's more to do with the production. On some tracks, the sound is like a ton of definition there, and on some tracks it's just a little bit muddy. But you know, it's on Prime, Amazon Music, it's on Apple Music, it'll be on Spotify, but I don't like to push them. So yeah, give it a go, give it a listen. Just listen to Kaiserian, that track is immense, and listen to 20s, you know, that track is immense. Just give it a go. If you like it, that's brilliant, you know, and if you don't, well, you tried, I tried. But I urge you, if you like, you know, melodic stuff, if you like stuff that is actually surprisingly a little bit more complex than you'd expect, give Ghost a try, because they kind of play traditional stuff, but with there's like a bit of a prog leaning in there. There's some little signatures, time signatures, and motifs that you think, oh, hang on a minute, that's a bit out of the blue. Anyway, that's me pimping for Tobias, done with. On to the last one, and so quick story time. I work from home, just in there, and I have my laptop open as well as my work laptop because my notes are on my laptop, and I get emails through and I get notification, and Sound of Vinyl said Kiss exclusive, and it was their least popular album ever, was reissued with a half-speed mastered copy on clear vinyl limited edition, and by the time I actually managed to click in and get through, it had sold out, and I was absolutely good because I was skint at the time, so I couldn't afford it, and it was only 35 quid, which I thought was really decent for what it was showing, but I couldn't afford it, so I was sad, but I thought, well, you know, it'll come around again probably. And then cut forward about 4 weeks later, and I get another email from Sound of Vinyl. They mysteriously found an additional 50 copies. So I was no hesitation, straight in, placed the order, and it was a pre-order. It was released on the 11th, and it arrived yesterday. And man, it is, you know. And I said this before about the Destroyer reissue. Kiss, who are obviously, you know, they're renowned at just trying to squeeze every last dollar out of you. I expected that to be a cash grab. I expected this to be a cash grab. And again, they have thankfully just shot that notion right out the water. They have proved me wrong again, and spectacularly so. So, what is it? If you haven't already guessed when I said their least popular album, it is Music from the Elder. Now, I've had this on, you know, on the channel before. I like this album, unashamedly so. I think it shows a maturity in the songwriting that isn't present anywhere else on any of the Kiss album, and there is a reason for that. I've discovered something that I didn't realise until I got this copy. So first of all, let's look at this. It's beautifully packaged, and it's kind of like got a metallic foil cover. It's nicely embossed there. I don't know if you can see even that. Now, there was some speculation as to whose hand that was. it was alleged that it was a hand model, and then some people thought it was Paul Stanley, and then apparently there is a behind the scenes shot of a half made up Paul Stanley with his hand.
I didn't catch that. Could you try again?
Sure. Oh, idiot. Doing like the old knock or whatever. This was supposed to be allegedly some church door somewhere in New York, but actually this was a studio prop. There's the inside of the album. Again, it's all nice and shiny. You know, I've got this copy here, so side by side you can kind of see there's a little bit of a difference there. And this one is numbered, so 6,927, so that's good. That means Sound of Vinyl managed to knock out 7,000, I'm assuming, of these. So this album, this particular one, is a half-speed mastered pressing, and it's a German release, not an English pressing or a US pressing. And what do we get for that? Because I paid, like I said, I paid 35 quid for it. So what did we get for that? So first of all, we got this with a nice, not seen that before, and it's clear vinyl, which is nice. You know, it's a nice little sort of oddity. Not an oddity, but you know, it just kind of makes the whole thing nice. And then there's a number of bits and bobs over this side that I'll pull out of the hat. So first of all, we've got this German lyric sheet, which is, you know, a nice little touch. We've got this cool, I'm not sure it's meant to be like a reproduction album cover or what for the Japanese release, because that's like an obi strip there. I don't know if you can going. So yeah, as you can see, you've got, I remember all these pictures and these pictures from sort of around the early 80s, seeing them in magazines every now and again. So they had the New Look. This was the first album with Eric Carr, and the last album with Ace Frehley. So Ace didn't like the album. There's another sleeve there as well that's got the lyrics in English on there. Ace didn't like the album, and a lot of his work was cut from the album anyway. He was a bit pissed off about that. He does sing one track on there, and I'm not sure whether Eric Carr plays on all the drums on this, or whether it's Anton Fig might have had a go. The band reunited with Bob Ezrin for this after the success of Destroyer, and they'd kind of been out in the wilderness a bit, and they came back with this. And I think it's a really good album. I really do. Now, when some things that I noticed. First of all, the sound. So this album, I remember having this album back in the day and thinking the sound is awful on the album. It was just the vocals in particular, the production was poor. And apparently Bob Ezrin was off his tits on coke a lot of the time, which would explain a lot. So then I got this off eBay last year, and it sounded way better than I remembered, and there's a reason for that, I think. And then I've got this, and this, you know, half speed mastered, and it does sound really good, but those vocals still sound they don't sound shit. Some of them, they just don't sound, they're not very bright, you know, they just don't kind of pop like you would expect, where you've got all this definition on the instruments, and there is, the bass, fair play to Gene, the bass sounds phenomenal on this, but the vocals, some of the vocals, there's some harmonies and stuff, or some like sort of choral bits, and they sound nice, but just some of the actual lead vocals, particularly Paul's lead vocals, just sound flat and muddy, and it's a shame, it's a big shame, but I'm guessing there's nothing much they can do about that because of the master tapes. But it's still worth getting this album. I do think it's a great album, it's a great concept album. It's maybe not the best Kiss album, but I still think it's a really good album. And it is, for me, it's my favourite, one of my favourite Kiss albums. It's up there in the top 5. And I said that it showed a maturity in the writing, and that is because I put that away. That was just stupid. And I was yesterday years old when I found this out, because I did do a little bit of reading about this before. So you can see on 1, 2, 3 tracks, Lou Reed helped to write this album. Some dude called Tony Powers single-handedly wrote 1 song. The reason I thought that Anton Fig might have had a hand, on playing the drums, is because he's also credited with A Dark Light, which is a great track. I think that's probably the only contribution that Ace had to the album, and it's a great track. I like it, and he's singing that, and I'm pretty certain that's his solo on it, because it doesn't quite fit with the rest of the album. So yeah, Gene wrote Only You on his own. Eric and Gene wrote Under the Rose. Paul and Bob Ezrin wrote Just a Boy. Here we've got Bob, Lou, Gene and Paul writing World Without Heroes, which is a phenomenal track. Paul, Bob and Tony Powers, I've never heard of, wrote The Oath. Gene and Lou wrote Mr. Blackwell, which is a great track. Gene and Bob wrote I, which is a great track. So yeah, it's like, wow, Lou Reed. I had no idea Lou Reed had helped to write a Kiss album. Gene and Paul pretty much disavowed the whole album after it came out. They didn't tour it. They didn't like they normally did. They did a few TV appearances to promote it, and that was it. And it kind of sank without a trace. But it did get some decent critical acclaim at the time, which is pretty cool. But anyway, there was one other thing before I sign off. So I was looking at the back of this one to start with. So when it was originally released, one of the things that threw people, because the album tells a story and it's meant to be in sequence, and when it was originally released, the record company weren't happy with the album at all, so they chopped the track list around and put a song called The Oath, which is on the second side, or at the start of the first side, and they put World Without Heroes at the start of the second side, because they were going to be 2 singles, along with I think was also a single. So that kind of put the focus on those 2 tracks. And that confused people as well, because it kind of threw the story out of balance. And so I've got this one here, which is the one that I bought, which actually has the proper, based on this, because this has got the proper track listing on it. So this has got Fanfare, which it starts off with, Just a Boy, Odyssey, Only You, Under the Rose. Then we go to Dark Light, World Without Heroes, The Oath, Mr. Blackwell and I. So I'm thinking, when I thought this was an original copy, that this is maybe a 1997 reissue, because the CD was the album was remastered and reissued on CD in 97 with the original track listing. So I'm just assuming, seeing as it wasn't released prior to that with that, and if you go on, I went on Wikipedia just to have a look at that. But then on this one, what's missing from there is Escape from the Island, which is a track which is actually on the album, because I've checked the track listing. And then on this one, Escape from the Island is back on there. So weird, very strange. And I can't remember, I'll just have a quick look, if on the track listing it actually mentions whether it's actually the same as on the album. Yes, no, there we go, World Without Heroes and The Oath. So that's another thing. So like I said, the album itself, side 1 has got The Oath at the beginning before Fanfare and Just a Boy, and then side 2 has A World Without Heroes. So I don't understand why that's got the original track listing on it. That's got the original track listing on it. That's got the proper track listing on it. It makes no sense to me. So, but anyway, so this track listing on this album is definitely different to that track listing on that album, because I played that one today, and I can see looking at that. But wow, crazy stuff. But anyway, both albums sound good. That sounds decent, but the remaster does sound phenomenal. It's unlikely you might still find a copy. You might be able to get a copy on eBay. I'm sure that Kiss Being Kiss, they'll bring it out again at a later date, maybe just as a standard vanilla release. But if you do get a chance to get hold of it, even if it's just to complete your Kiss collection, it's definitely worth it. Definitely worth giving it a go. And for 35, like Quatloos, for all that, you know, it's a nice little piece. Anyway, I keep waffling. I waffle. I'll go on and on all day if you let me. So thanks for watching. Hopefully there'll be some proper content, you know, with going back through my dad's record collection very soon. Until then, stay safe, keep listening to records. Please hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and please hit the like button. That would be amazing. And please leave me a comment, and ta-ta.